Hi, it's Mary again. Long time no see. Not really. I promised that I will make a review of George Farmer's book, but I want to divide that to two parts, and this is the first one. Because nowadays, and in general, I do believe that it is very important to talk about. What I'm referring to? This. Rethink Mental Illness. This is a UK-based charity which I try to support in my humble way, because there's no such charity or organization in Hungary which are there for people who have mental or emotional scars. Many of you don't know that since I became physically disabled, I live with depression and anxiety disorder. This is just a footnote because these two diagnoses does not define me or you. Whatever is your mental health condition, that does not define you. And for us in the aquatic hobby, there's a shining example. And for me, personally, he's a role model. He's a hero. And his name is George Farmer. I owe a lot to him by him telling his story at the Green Aqua opening a few years ago. And the realization that, wow, I'm not alone. Not just having mental health issues, but how aquascaping and fish keeping, shrimp keeping, you name it, has helped to tackle the mental and psychological stress. Especially since now this is the second year, an uninvited and very, very, very unkind guest entered all of our lives on all continents. And its name is COVID. Our generation is not familiar with such a global, horrendous thing. The last one was the Second World War. And before that, on the turn of the previous century, there was the Spanish flu. My apologies to all Spaniards, but I'm not familiar with the scientific name of that pandemic. And yes, we do need to escape. How many of you out there just want to escape from the hustle and bustle of city life or everyday life challenges? Whether it's paying the bill, it's an illness, losing a loved one. And in the past, well over 18 months, all of us had more of that very unfortunate things in our lives. And that's why I was so excited when I got the word that George is working on a book. Now, I'm talking about this book, but in the first chapter, if you like, I would like to talk about the man, George Farmer. Many people know him as an aquascaper. Fewer people know that he's a Java fern freak. Sorry, George, that I told the secret. He's a very friendly bloke. But if you had listened to his podcast, because he has a Spotify channel, he talked about mental health and aquascaping. And he didn't start his book differently, which I think is frightfully important, because it's not just keeping fish, it's not just trimming plants. No, there's much more to it. It's not just reconnecting with nature, because by doing so, there's far more in it. It's a rescue remedy, like for others, painting, drawing, gardening. Well, in the dead of winter you can't do that, but we are blessed we can. And in the introduction, I don't know if anyone could put it better, but George hits the nail on the head that it's like landscape gardening, but underwater. But above all, that aquariums have therapeutic values and reduces the level of stress, anxiety, soothes the rough edges of depression or whatever you might live with. Because the emphasis is, don't let your mental health condition define you. You have the reins in your hands. And my choice was aquascaping, although I do keep fish as well. I have a turtle. And I spoke with a fellow Hungarian aquascaper who happens to be a psychologist and has a private office as well. And he said that once he read in the Lancet is the major publication for the health care people, that just by looking at a tank, especially beautifully planted with live fish or little critters like snails, shrimps, within the first few minutes the view, your connection with the tank can reduce the stress level by 5 to 10%. Wow, you may say, quite rightfully. But there's more to it. If you had watched Green Aqua YouTube channel or any other, George's channel, Yuri's channel, you've seen that the smiles are a little bit wider. There's a bit more glimpse in the eye, especially nowadays, and we are in dire need of joy and of happiness, of balanced life in all segments of life. And an aquarium or even a wabikusa can significantly enhance how you feel. It might be sitting in the corner of the living room, or a wabikusa, kokedama, in the middle of the table. But aquascaping and other segments of our hobby allows us the ability, this very unique and intimate connection with nature. Hence, it gives us back all the health benefits it can provide. Well, I must like to pinpoint one thing, that in George's book there are acknowledgements or thank yous, and many of you may, I'm trying to turn up that particular page, if you can bear me for a second. Okay, so for instance, I didn't find it, but I know a few by heart. Scape Nature, a UK-based, beautiful aquatic shop, but it's a company name. But behind the company name, there are two people, Ray and Jill. It's important. People. Behind the name Green Aqua, there are people. Balázs, Victor, Attila, Matyi, Vicky, Tommy. This human connection is very important. And I feel blessed that at Green Aqua, from time to time, there are workshops, because that's how I met friends from far-flung countries, from Kuwait or Bahrain, and we are still in touch, inspiring each other when one needs a little bit of pickup, or when you're toying with a hardscape idea and you feel that I'm close, but and you get stuck. You don't know what change to apply to make it better. And then your friend wherever he or she may be, says that, well, if you would just move that rock a little bit to the left, to the right third, I think that would do better. We need each other. I have friends, not just from Bahrain or Kuwait, from Italy, Lagoon Aquascape, or from Greece, Nemophilus Scaper, and his good friend Marcos. I met them at the recent Juan Puchades workshop. Juan Puchades and many other people. So, yes, sometimes it's painful to do a maintenance, a water change, when the plants go bonkers and just crawling out of the tank. Yes, it's painful to trim all of them. But look at the beneficial side of it. Your health is improving. Or, to put it more correctly, doesn't decline further. And it really doesn't matter whether it's a visible illness or an invisible one. Because I disagree with those who say that, well, physical illnesses are more serious than invisible ones, like mental health or emotional scars. No, you can't live your life without the two, and it's very important to take care of it. You need a distraction point. When things becomes too much to handle, you need an anchor, a harbor, if you like, where you can return to. For me, and for quite a few people I know, that is aquascaping. I know, for instance, Chris Lookhope, the Shrimp King. Hey! He loves painting, oil painting, just like the famous actor Anthony Hopkins. Also, he plays the piano pretty well. Or there's Ty, a good friend of George, Biotapaya, on Instagram. Man, he plays the blues, that really dark grassroots blues, beautifully. Frankly, I would sell my soul just to knock down his door, take a seat, and just listen him playing the guitar. So, any of you watching this video, and not necessarily in the aquarium hobby, but if so, try to deliberately looking for a distraction point, or when aquascaping becomes boring, especially in the midst of this horrible pandemic, try to stretch your boundaries. It doesn't have to be all about water change, fertilization regime, trimming plants. No. Try to do a wabikusa. That way you don't go too far to further enhance your stress. Because aquarium plants, But you will be surprised, even shocked, how wonderful they are, and they can adapt. Or if you have a fish, try to draw a picture. I did one, doodling with oil pastels. And there's one bloke at Green Aqua. I don't want to give away anything, but it's not COVID related, but within the family, lifelong health issue occurred. And I just wanted to cheer him up, so I looked at my fancy guppy, Poecilia reticulata, the scientific name, and I said, well, as he's the fish expert at Green Aqua, maybe I should try to draw. And so I did, and that cracked a smile onto his face, on his face, and I was shocked when I went to Green Aqua for the first day of Juan's workshop. I always try to get there earlier than the starting time to roam around in my wheelchair. And as I entered where the fish wrecks are, here I go, I get a little bit emotional. My clumsy drawing was framed and was hanging on the side of the fish wreck. So everyone who enters that part of Green Aqua Shop can see. I mean, wow. So be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and keep on scaping. And the real review of George Farmer's book will come in the not too distant future. Until then, take care, enjoy the rest of the day, and may life treat you kindly. Cheers!